With the release of my best team for Scarlet and Violet Meowscarada edition, I figured it's about time to get working on the final video for this series. For those of you who are new to the channel, my best teams are meant to counter every type in the game with just the stab types of the Pokemon on the team, so no matter what you're up against, you always have something that can deal with it. Now there are some restrictions I use on these teams to make them just a little more challenging for me to make personally. Rule number 1 is no legendaries or post-game Pokemon. They appear way too late in the game, and I don't really want players to wait too long to complete their teams. Rule number 2 is no version exclusives. These teams are meant to be used by anyone no matter which game they have, so any Pokemon on these teams can be found in both versions. Rule number 3 is no repeat Pokemon. Since I make 3 best teams, I want playthroughs with each team to feel unique. So for example, if Arboliva appears on one team, I can't put it on either of the other 2 teams. Rule number 4 is no Pokemon that require 2 players to evolve. Like I said in Rule 2, I want anyone to be able to use these teams, which includes people who don't have anyone to do trade evolutions with or evolve Finizen with. And finally, Rule number 5, no Pokemon with a different Terra type than their regular typing unless it's absolutely necessary. I just don't want to try to fit Terra types into my teams unless I absolutely have to. Now that the rules are out of the way, let's get into building the best team for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Quaquaval Edition. First up is going to be, of course, our starter, Quaquaval. I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce its name, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it because I don't actually know how to pronounce any of these Pokemon's names.
Like, there's half of these Pokemon in this game and I don't know how to pronounce their names.
You'll of course get Quaxly at the very start of the game. It evolves into Quaxwell at level 16, and finally into Quaquaval at level 36. Its water and fighting type will be super effective against fire, ground, rock, steel, ice, dark, and normal types, and it resists bug, rock, fire, water, steel, ice, and dark moves. For its moves, I'm giving it Aqua Step and Brick Break as stab, acrobatics to cover its grass weakness, and Baton Pass because it synergizes really well with Aqua Step, which raises your speed. So you can use 1 or 2 Aqua Steps, then Baton Pass to a strong sweeper. Alternatively, you can replace Baton Pass with U-Turn and replace the stat change passing with coverage against its weaknesses to Grass and Psychic, whichever you prefer. Either way, these 2 moves serve the same purpose, which is to switch Quaquaval out when things get tricky. You'll get Aqua Step when Quaxwell evolves, and the rest of its moves are all learned via TM. For its item, I'm giving it nothing, because it has acrobatics. Next up is a Pokemon that I used on my first playthrough of Pokemon Violet and that I absolutely fell in love with, Tinkerton. You can get Tinkatink in these areas. It evolves into Tinkatuff at level 24 and then finally into Tinkerton at level 38. Fun fact, when I caught my Tinkatuff, I thought its hammer was a 5G tower, so I called it 5G, not knowing that it was a hammer until it actually evolved into a Tinkerton. Its fairy and steel types are super effective against dragon, dark, fighting, fairy, rock, and ice types, and resists bug, grass, normal, ice, fairy, dark, rock, psychic, and flying moves with immunities to dragon and poison. For moves, I'm giving it Gigaton Hammer and Play Rough for stab, Rock Slide to cover its fire weakness, and Protect to negate all damage the turn it's used, and it also resets Gigaton Hammer since you can only use that move once every other turn. So you can use Gigaton Hammer, then Protect, then Gigaton Hammer, rinse, repeat, because the AI doesn't actually know how to play around that kind of strategy, so it's just a broken playthrough strat. You get Gigaton Hammer when Tinkatuff evolves, Play Rough is learned at level 35, and the other 2 moves are learned via TM. For its item, I'm giving it Leftovers to recover HP at the end of every turn. This will also help synergize really well with Protect, since you can Protect, then just recover some HP at the end of the turn. You can get Leftovers in Cascarafa's Delibird presents for $20,000. Third up is the first ever Fire and Grass Pokemon, Scovillain. You can find its pre-evolution Capsicid in these areas, and it evolves by using a Firestone. Its Grass and Fire typing is super effective against Grass, Water, Rock, Ground, Bug, Ice, and Steel types, and resists Grass, Electric, Steel, and Fairy moves. For its moves, I'm giving it Trailblaze and Flamethrower as stab, Zenheadbutt to cover its poison weakness, and Crunch for extra coverage. You'll get Flamethrower when Capsicum evolves, Trailblaze is given to you as a TM when you defeat Brassius's gym, Zenheadbutt is learned at level 28, and Crunch is learned at level 38. For its item, I'm giving it the black glasses to change the power of Crunch from 80 to 96, so it does just a little extra damage to its targets. You can get the black glasses in Levincia's Delibird presents for $3,000. Next is the surprisingly not steel type low kicks. You can find Nimble in these areas and it evolves at level 24. Its bug and dark type is super effective against grass, ghost, psychic, and dark types, and it resists grass, dark, ground, and ghost moves with an immunity to psychic. For moves, I'm giving it Throat Chop and Lunge for stab, and Brick Break and Aerial Ace to cover its weaknesses to rock and bug. Lunge is learned when Nimble evolves, Throat Chop is learned at level 36, and the other two moves are learned by TM. For its item, I'm giving it the Life Orb to power up all of its attacks by 30%. Just be sure to make quick work of your opponents, because this will come at the cost of 10% of your max HP with every attack you use. You can get the Life Orb on this island in Casaroya Lake. Fifth up is Hatterine, which I thought of replacing with Gardevoir until realizing almost all of its stats are better than Gardevoir's. You can find Hatena in these locations. It evolves into Hatchram at level 32, and then into Hatterine at level 42. It's a long wait for the full evolution, but it's well worth the wait. Its Fairy and Psychic typing is super effective against Fighting, Dark, Poison, and Dragon types, and resists Psychic and Fighting moves with an immunity to Dragon. For moves, I'm giving it Dazzling Gleam and Psychic for stab, Shadow Ball to cover its Ghost weakness, and Calm Mind to help it set up. You get Dazzling Gleam at level 30, Psychic is either learned at level 46 or by TM, whichever you prefer, and the other two moves are learned via TM. For its item, I'm giving it the Quick Claw to help give it a 20% chance to move first, since it is pretty slow. Last, but certainly not least, is the first and only Terra Pokemon in this series so far. Terra Ice Palosand. You can find a Sandygast in these locations, and it evolves into Palosand at level 42. Its Ground, Ghost, and Terra Ice typing are super effective against Rock, Fire, Steel, Psychic, Ghost, Grass, Flying, Ground, and Dragon types, and before it terastallizes, it resists Rock, Poison, and Bug moves with an immunity to Normal, Fighting, and Electric, and after it terastallizes, it just resists Ice. In order to get a Terra Ice Palosand, your best chance is to get a Terra Ice Sandygast from 2-star Terra Raid battles, and then evolving it into a Palosand. If you want to get just a regular Sandygast in the wild and change its Terra type to Ice later, you could do that, just know that you'll need 50 Ice Terra Shards, which is going to take you a while. For moves, I'm giving it Earth Power, Shadow Ball, and Terra Blast for stab, and Psychic to counter its weakness to fighting when terastallized. Earth Power can be learned at level 54 or by TM, Shadow Ball can be learned at either level 47 or by TM, and Terra Blast and Psychic are both learned via TM. As for its item, I'm giving it the Absorb Bulb. This is a one-time use item that, when consumed, boosts the user's special attack by 1 stage when they're hit with a Water-type move. This will work really well with the Terra Ice typing because you can bring out Palosand to bait out a Water move, instantly terastallize to Ice to remove its Water weakness, then get a free special attack boost with the Absorb Bulb, making all of Palosand's attacks stronger. Since the Absorb Bulb is a consumable item, I recommend collecting a few of them from these sparkling spots in the Tag Tree Thicket. So there you have it. If you chose Quaxly as your Pokemon Scarlet and Violet starter, this is the best team you can build. As always, let me know what teams you guys are using in the comment section below, and since all the best teams are Scarlet and Violet are done for the moment,
I'll probably do updated versions for all 3 when the DLC comes out, so get ready for that.
let me know which games you want me to make best teams for next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.